Stories of Brisco and Bradshaw. I will be Bradshaw. That will be the WWE Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. We got every woman's pet and every man's regret. The universal heartthrob. He's held titles in every territory in the world, wrestled every main eventer in the world, and he is a talking machine. And apparently, once he even got stretched by a Brisco, that includes him and about 1,000 other wrestlers. He is Mr. Austin Idol. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, JBL. It's great to be here. And Jerry Brisco, I remember him from so far back, JBL. Oh, we've got some stories, but some we can tell, some we can't tell. But I owe this guy a lot, and he knows it. He knows it. I send him a check every single year. I just tell him, don't cash it yet.
Well, it's like a battle roll check that you cash. I'm waiting until I get up to a certain amount, then I'm going to take them all and cash them at one time.
Objection.
Mike and man, it sure is great to see you, man. It's been way too long. I can't even remember last time I saw you, but you know, as you mentioned earlier, our paths crossed real early, and really both of our career. You're an old timer too, whether you want to admit it. You're an old man too. Just like
I'm going to object to that one too. That's an objection. I feel great. What's wrong with you?
And you're a guest, man.
Mr.
You're
Brisco,
a guest.
we just got him on our podcast. Don't insult him.
I know it took me 2 years to track him down. I finally got him, and but I can't help myself. That's how I know Mike. I knew Mike when he was a little puppy and he's still pooping in his diaper. Danny Graham had to slap him on the cheek and change the diaper for him. But
it's true.
Yeah.
It's kind of still true.
So
it's
yeah.
Like,
so tell us. So tell us, Mike. Touch on Danny Graham. So obviously, we ran across this a couple of years. I think you were just starting. I think when I was coming in and out, was I in Charlotte at the time? I was coming in and out. Jack was the guy down here at the time. So what you're shaking your head? You tell the damn story. You're the guest. You tell the story.
Well, thank you. I mean, thank you. No, you're wrong. First of all, you're wrong.
Of course.
You're wrong. JBL, well, you know.
He's an Okie. What do you expect?
I was in Tampa, and I was in Tampa, and I went through the snake pit thing for about a year. Snake pit thing, and finally, after refereeing, and I had like a few matches. I mean, really, just a few. I really didn't. I knew nothing. Pretty much like now, I knew nothing. And then they shipped me out to Nashville, Tennessee, to Nick Goulas, and I was going. Eddie told me, you're going to be on a $300 a week guarantee. And I'm going, yeah, baby. Yeah, 1972, beginning of 72, $300 a week guarantee. So the night before I left, you just happened to come in to wrestle in a tag match with Brother Jack, who I loved dearly, dearly, except when he was stretching me. But yeah, and we talked a little bit. We introduced each other, and I said, I'm going to Nashville. And I think you must have known, because you said, hey, listen, I'm in Charlotte, I'm in Mid-Atlantic, Crockett. Here's my number, just in case you ever need anything. And I kept your number. And sure enough, it wasn't too long after I got the Nick Goulas, I did need something, and I did call you. And you got me booked in Charlotte. It was my first break in the wrestling business.
So tell us how you got to the snake pit. How you got in there? Because you really wasn't a huge fan going in, right? Was you?
No, I was never a fan going in. No, but I was working out I've been, in a nice way, booted out of a gym down in Tampa because me and a couple of my buddies were power lifters back then. So we would hog up the bench press and all the weights. So we were evicted, but in a nice way. And I bumped into Mike Graham over on Davis Island. There's a club over there, the Island Club. Remember that, Jerry?
Island Club, yeah.
Island Club, yeah. So I bumped into Mike, and we just kind of hit it off. And he said to me, where are you working out? I said, nowhere right now. He said, well, I've got a gym that's been converted, the double car garage where I live. Come over and work out with me, work out with us. And that's where the introduction was. And eventually, after training, and of course, being around Eddie a little bit, not a lot, but just, here and there, coming and going, I started lobbying to Mike, said, gosh, Mike, I'd love to have an opportunity just to try out. and I didn't even know what to call it, try out. And eventually it took a while, but Eddie agreed, okay, we'll let this kid try out. And it was brutal.
So you got your chance to go to the office there, the snake pit as they called it there. Who were the participants in and trying to teach you how to roll around the right way?
No, they taught me how to absorb pain. There wasn't any rolling around.
There's no rolling around.
No, not, and there wasn't for probably close to a year. It was all shooting and stretching and just fighting for my life. It really was.
Who were those guys? Roop and Hero and
Jack Brisco.
Jack, yeah.
Jack Brisco was there.
Jack was one of those guys though. Jack never like hurting you. He would just take you and wear your ass out, right? I mean,
thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Yeah, but you can imagine some punk kid who's just a power lifter and played some high school sports and all that, but didn't have any amateur wrestling background. But I knew who these guys were. I did know from television. I knew that. And when I walked into the sportatorium there, my little shorts, tennis shoes, cut off, t-shirt. In the ring was Jack Brisco. Now I knew about Jack's background. Bob Roop, I knew about Bob's background. Bob was probably 325, 330, the Greco-Roman guy, all that stuff. Matt Suda, Eddie, and then Mike, put on some workout gear. So, I'm walking to the ring, and I knew, I said, well, this is not going to be pretty. It's like feeding the Christians to the lions. And I knew this was going to be really bad, but hopefully not too bad, So the first guy, they said, okay, Jack, you take him. It was so fast. It was like the old Muhammad Ali thing. You flip the switch off and you're in bed before it gets dark. Really, he fireman's carried me so fast and immediately went right into the sugar hold. And, I'm a big guy. I was about 275. So all that works against you, right? And he's pushing, and you know what it is. And my arms are like this. His arms behind my neck, and got that armpit cupped, and he's pushing on my side. And I was like that far from passing out. But I mean, I knew I was going out. And Jack knew it too, and Jack let go. He let go, but he knew I was that close to passing out. So, I got up and I was all wobbly. And then it was immediately Bob Roop.
Wow.
Immediately, push and shove a little bit, play with me a little bit, belly to belly, boom, over, down on top of me. Matt Suda got it. Then Matt Suda got some, and then Mike. I'm gone. I'm totally gassed. I mean, I got nothing. It's just on instinct. It's just nothing. So Mike rolled, round and round and round, and then Eddie, after I'm pretty much dead, I barely have a pulse. Eddie says, "Okay, kid, let's see if you can escape. Get down, referee's position." And he said, "Okay, escape." I can't go anywhere. Where am I going to go? I have no fuel. Even if I could go anywhere, I couldn't go anywhere. I have no fuel in the tank. It's like fumes at best. Okay, kid, escape. Well, I couldn't do it. And then he gave me the big cross face. Boom! Thing, I mean, like that. I mean, it was a good one. It was really a good one. I'm bleeding, and then they let go, and they pretty much said, "Okay, that's it." And then I'm riding back and in Mike's car with him back to his house where I had my car parked. Mike says to me when we get in the car, he says, "Well, how did you like it?" And I loved it. Can't wait to do it again. Which it's a total lie, but I didn't want to be working construction the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I said, I loved it. I can't wait to do it again. And that's where it started. And I took a year of that.
A year you went back and forth the snake pit there. That during the heat of summer, that place was not air conditioned. That was like a sauna in there too, man.
Yeah, it was, Jerry, but it was just the brutality of it all. I mean, really, it was just the brutality of it all. It was just, I hated it, but I kept I'd heard a conversation going through from the gym. You know, this is prior to that. This is what caused me to start lobbying to Mike. Mike and I were working out, and he said, "Let's go in the house and get some water." I'd never been in the house before. So Eddie was for cell phones. So Eddie's sitting down in his lazy boy chair, and he was on the phone. We had to walk behind him to go into the kitchen to get some water. And I heard Eddie say, "So you'll pay him $1,000 a week." It's 1972. And I'm thinking to myself, $1,000 a week. I'm working construction, dying out here in the Florida heat. So when we get back into the gym, I said to Mike, I said, "Mike, who's your dad talking to?" He's always talking to the promoter in Australia, Mr. Barnett. Mr. Barnett wants Dad to send him a wrestler, and he'll pay him $1,000 a week. That's when I started having $1,000 a week.
So you made up your mind real quick then. This is what I want to do.
Well, I knew that if you could make $1,000 a week, and it sounded like you could, well, it's something to shoot for. Yeah, it's something to shoot for. Yeah.
And this was back in 1970 when $1,000 a week, man, was
wow.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it was huge money. It was huge money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you realize they weren't teaching you anything?
Well, JBL, that's a really great question. I mean, I knew it from after say a month. I kept thinking, when are they going to teach me a little something about the professional thing rather than just beating me to half to death 3 days a week? I never had a chance to recover either. I just couldn't recover in a day. To go back on Wednesday, then Thursday, go back on Friday. I had Saturday and Sunday, go back on Monday. But I kept waiting. I just said, I got two choices there. You got to kind of wait it out and hope, or quit. And then the $1,000 a week was there. He says, well, I'll just keep taking it, man. But I was the first local kid to break into the wrestling business in Tampa, Florida. That was unheard of.
That's what I was going to ask you next. If you recall that, because there were just so many that came after you, but you were the first that I can recall, and this is from like 1970 when I first started coming down here.
Yeah, I was the first one, so I took it for the team. I mean, everybody came after me. They never got what I got. I mean, I'm glad for them. I heard Hogan got an ankle broken, whatever. But I mean, I really took the brunt of the whole torture. It was torture. Yeah.
So about a year, you're down there, you're busting your ass, you're getting your ass handed to you just about every day. When did the point come where was it Eddie that finally said, or Matsuda that finally said, Mike, you're ready? Or how did they help come to that point?
No, Louis Tillett called me in the office upstairs. Yeah, Louis, smart guy though. Very smart.
Louis was very bright. Yeah,
extremely intelligent.
We're one of the greatest Finnish guys ever.
Absolutely.
And to listen to him was an education. Just to listen to him deliver a finish, how emotionally he got involved in every little detail in describing the finish. And Gerald, it was a 20-minute to finish too,
it
John.
Was crazy. I mean,
you blew up just listening to the finish.
Yes, you did. I mean, so you have Louis here and you have Eddie here. I mean, what do you want? I mean, this is like Einstein and his clone, So Louis calls me in the office and says, well, you ready to get your feet wet, kid? I said, yeah. So they start me as a referee for a while. And then they said, okay, let's give him some matches. My first match, they stuck me, a local kid. They don't want me to be seen.
Right.
Get him out there somewhere. Belle Glade, Florida. Sugarcane country. That's what it is. Sugarcane country.
Football player country too, man.
Oh yeah, well, no doubt about it. My first match was Corsica Gene. They put me with
Corsica Gene, old timer.
Put me with a veteran. Yeah. I'd never wrestled before. I didn't even know how to go through the ropes. I knew nothing. He grabs me, throws me out through the ropes. That was foreign to me. I land on the concrete and broke my wrist.
Wow.
First match. 6 weeks in a cast. But it was one of those removable casts, But nevertheless, welcome to professional wrestling. Yeah, thank you. Nice.
So they never told you really anything. It's just they stretched you and then put you in the ring.
JB, I swear to you, what little I did learn, which was at the tail end, that really was at the tail end. They started teaching me about an arm drag, a headlock, take over from the headlock, just a shoulder tackle, just just very, very basic moves. Matter of fact, one day I'm in there trying to find my way a little bit. I mean, you talk about lost. I mean, I was a ship out on the sea with no sail, no direction. I mean, I was totally lost. Big old Dick Murdoch walks in. Love Dickie. Love that guy so much. And he's, his personality. Murdoch looks at me. He says, "Well, hell, boy." And he gets in the ring and says, "You ever had a body slam?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, you getting ready to get one." Boom, bam. First body slam, Dick Murdoch. Yeah, I was scared. I mean, no, I've never been picked up like that, but he snatched me up and slammed me and said, "Hey, I'm alive." I'm alive. Yeah. But really, basically, no, they didn't teach me anything. I mean, when I went to Nick Goulas, I actually started learning a little bit there. I learned about how you're being robbed. Yeah, that was the first thing.
So when you went to Nick up there, I mean, I would see I'd run into you just a couple of weeks before you left, and gave you my number there, and when you told me you're going to Nick, I'm surprised Jack didn't tell you a story about Jack nearly quit the business when he went.
No, but yeah, easy to believe.
Yeah, and so that's the reason I got to share my number with you. And so, but when you got up there, really, what kind of money was Nick paying? I mean, we all heard the horror stories, but I've never really had anybody that actually got an envelope from him. How?
No, Jerry, remember, I was on a $300 week guarantee.
Yeah.
Right? So my first week, 6 nights, right? I got my check. I believe it was for $160. So I'm losing money. When I went up, drove up there in a little beat up Nash Rambler that had.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you drove it to Charlotte.
I had concrete blocks in the back of the driver's seat to keep me up. I had $400 to my name. $400 to my name. My first check was $160. I thought, well, that's not $300. So I went and I told Nick. I said, "Mr. Goulas, oh, that was a mistake. Next week we'll make it up to you." Okay, all right. Well, it didn't happen. And matter of fact, I went down to 120. And wow. I was there for about a month, just sucking it up. And that's when I said, I'm starving to death. I mean, my $400, I'm into my $400. I said, I'm calling Jerry Brisco. I'm gonna call him. I called Jerry, boom. I said to him, I said, "Jerry, I need help. I mean, I'm starving to death here. Can you do anything for me?" He said, let me talk to old man Crockett, see what I can do.
Yeah, it was Crockett Senior at the time there. So I went to the office. Crockett Senior was there. Gary Hart was there, and I think Rip Hawk was all in there. And I told him about you. They said, "Get him here as quick as he can get here." So that's when I was back and called you. Told you, and you were here the next day.
Oh, yeah, I believe. I said, "No notice. You're not giving this guy a notice."
And who opened their apartment up and all that for you? And by the way, I never did get rent.
Never.
But it's coming. It's coming. Just chill out a little bit, okay?
Okay, I'll believe it. It's Dick Goulas rent too. But you started getting.
Jerry, just a second, please. Excuse me for interrupting, but JBL. So in that conversation with Jerry, we talked again. He says, "Okay, I got your book. Just come on up." I said to him, "I don't have any place to live. I don't have my money. I have no money." He said, "Don't worry about it. You come live with me. It's all good." He said, "Don't worry about it. Just come live with me. I got a big place, and which is really, really good. I got a spare bedroom." He said, just move in with me." And it was like, really, it was a godsend. It was an absolute godsend because, I was in deep doo-doo, and Jerry pulled me out of that doo-doo, and that was my first break in professional wrestling. It turned out to be a great break. Great break.
Yeah, so you got here and you got the Mid-Atlantic. You started getting over and you started learning the business there and
hey, wait a minute, Jerry. What was it like living with the Briscoes?
We
That
can't
had
go
to
there.
be-
We can't go there.
JBL, I'm under gag order.
We
Yeah,
can't go
I'm
there.
under gag order, so it was good. It was real good. It was.
It
Real
was the 70s, by the way, too. So.
we had fun, and Jerry was driving this really cool Mercedes, you know, the coupe. I mean, the thing, you know, man. He's got the belt and he's got the big apartment. I said, you know what? I hope I can do any get just close to this. I'll be thrilled to death, you know. But it was just it was great. And real quickly, I remember I went from 120, 160. My first week, I'm just on the card somewhere. And they gave us our envelope somewhere, Jerry Raleigh, or I don't know where they gave us an envelope with a check in it, right? Somewhere, what town? I don't remember. I don't either. But anyway, you get your check in envelope, JBL. So I'm thinking, hey, if it's $250, I'm excited. So I went into a bathroom stall, locked that thing, check, pull the envelope, pull the check out. It was like $440. I thought it was a mistake. I said, God, I'm rich. I just went from that to this, $440. And then I was like, oh man, cloud nine. Jerry Brisco, yeah, cloud nine. And it got a lot better.
Yeah, we got a lot, man. It was fun there. But you befriended Gary Hart, and Gary had a great eye for a talent. And Gary was going back for I think Mr. Barnett's last run over in Australia, and he asked you to go with him, didn't he?
Yeah, and that was a tough thing, but if you harken back a little bit, Jerry, harken back just a hair, and of course I didn't know, I don't know what was said in the back room, but obviously I got voted in or whatever. But it was kind of a tag team territory then, right?
Right.
Mid-Atlantic. And Nelson Roy was teamed up with Klondike Bill, and they were wrestling the Andersons all over the place. One of Klondike's parents became ill. Klondike had to leave and go to Canada, I think, Canada.
Right.
They chose me as his replacement, JBL. So I had no idea about this, but I'm thinking, well, that's an upgrade because those guys are way up there on the card, right? So I substitute for Klondike as Nelson's partner. We go around the horn. Payday comes, envelope. I'm still hoping for $400. Into the bathroom stall, lock it, fill open the envelope, slowly slide that check out. I mean, really slowly. $780. I looked at that thing. I said, "Are you kidding me?" 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was making $160. I just made $780. You know, I knew that was a mistake. I put it back in my tags. Nelson Roy said to me, "Did you get your check?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "How much was it for?" I said, $780. I said, "I'm sure it was a mistake." He says, "No, that's what you made." And that's what I was making before I left for Australia. Yeah.
And how long were you down in Australia? And how did you like working for Barnett down there?
Phenomenal. I mean, because I was so fortunate to get in there. And by the way, Crockett had made me Rookie of the Year. Gary said, "I can get you $1,000 a week," because he saw me wrestling Bulldog Brower. He saw that deal. He saw how that could work. And I just got Rookie of the Year. I'm making $700+ a week. He said, "I'll get you $1,000 a week in Australia, and they'll pay the taxes. And the cost of living is nothing." I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to take it.
Damn.
I gave Jim Crockett my notice, and boy, he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this, kid?" And I said, "Mr. Crockett, it's $1,000 a week. It's Australia. I'm young. I got to do it." So I went there, but the answer is, I'm in with all these masters, JBL. I mean, Mark Loon was the booker. Very, very smart guy. Gary Hart, very, very smart guy. And major league talent, Curtis Arquette, King Curtis, Brower, Jeet Singh, Spiros Arion, Brute Bernard came over. I mean, the thing was loaded with talent. And it was like, man, you flew everywhere. You know, you're flying everywhere. I mean, it was like the cost of living was nothing. It was incredible. Yeah, incredible. And I got my $1,000 a week. Yeah.
I always thought Gary Hart was one of the best guys in wrestling. I don't know if he's underrated. I don't know how he's remembered, but Gary Hart was such a smart guy. I roomed with Gary Hart a couple of times in Texas, before he kind of retired. And it's such a pleasant guy and such a smart guy.
He is one of the most underrated guys in our business history. I mean, for his booking ability and Gary's knowledge of the business and knowing how to get over, right, Mike? I mean, you could put him out there. If he was with you, you were going to be the top guy no matter what, because Gary was going to garner that heat for you.
Yeah, he was very, very smart. I mean, he really was. So I was fortunate because I had some really, really wrestling intelligence around me. All I had to do was pay attention.
Right.
Some of it would rub off. So, I mean, that's what and I would ask questions. I mean, I'd ask a ton of questions and I'd always get answers. So I'd always just put it in the old computer, say, well, this must be how it works, so I was very fortunate. That was my second break.
But plus, Gary was such a great, nice guy too. I mean, he was fun to be around. He was very, 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 very generous with his time, and his lovely wife. What was her name?
Twinkle.
Twinkle. Yeah. What a great lady she
was. Not Twinkle.
Twinkie.
Well, Twinkie. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Twinkie, whatever.
Whatever. But yeah, what a great pair they were. I mean, just beautiful people. Gary was like a brother to me, and so I got nothing but great memories of Gary Hart.
Me too.
So
I roomed with Gary Hart down in South Texas on a loop when I forget who was running down there or something, but Gary Hart was my roommate down there, and I'd go out with the boys, and Gary wouldn't go out. He's didn't care to. I'd come stumbling in about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning whenever the bar closed. I'd make all kinds of noise. Gary would get up so calm. I'd wake him up every night. He'd go, "Did you have a good time, my boy?" He'd smoke a joint, go back to bed. nothing bothered him. I mean, nothing bothered him.
Very laid back guy.
So but then you end up going to New York for Vince Senior, right? Was Vince when you went up to for Vince Senior? Was Vince Junior already doing the commentary for the Madison Square Garden shows?
Oh yeah, he's doing all the commentary, and that was phenomenal too. And Barnett sold the territory. And we sold the territory, and we take a month off for Christmas, and then come back. And Jim asked me if I would come back for the transition, right? So I said, of course. I said yes. So I went back, and there, we shot a big angle prior to the vacation. Came back, and everything was it really was all sold out. But the talent was different. The big international superstars were gone. So the second week, houses were in half. I mean, I saw it. So this place never die. Third week, quarter. Barnett had given me his number beforehand, and he said, "If you need anything, Jerry Brisco, if you need anything, I'll be staying at the Surfrider Hotel in Honolulu. Just call me." I said, "Okay." Well, I did. And I called him. I said, "Jim, I got to get out of here. This place is absolutely dying. I've got to go somewhere." He said, "Where do you want to go, my boy?" With no hesitation, I said, "New York." He said, "I'll call Vince. Call me back in a couple of days." I called him. He says, "You're booked. You start TVs in March." I said, "Jim, I want to be a bad guy. I want to be a hero." He said, "No problem." I said, "I want to change my name. Just make it Mike McCord. That rolls off a little bit better. I take care of it." I go to get into New York, and it's just, it's big. There's a big deal, right? It's the Big Apple, right? And there's King Curtis is there, and thankfully, when I walked in, I think TV in Philly, everybody's there, and Curtis walks up and gives me a big hug, right? So now I'm in with the family. They all know Curtis likes this kid. He must be okay. And I was working like this underneath for about 6 weeks, and one day we're doing TV. I guess it was back in Philly. I don't know. And Lou Albano came over and said, "The old man wants to see you." I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm in trouble, right? So there was, it's winter, and there's Vince Senior standing over there. Yeah, it was the old Philly arena. got the overcoat on, he's looking great. The hair it's perfect, you know. He said, he says, Mike, you know, I really like what you're doing here. You're really working hard. I like your style. He said, I'm going to put you with Lou Albano, and Lou's going to be your manager. Are you kidding? Lou, you know how hot Lou was. He was,
yeah.
and so, you know, all that, you know, just hang on his coattails.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably do okay. And he said,
Gravy train, yeah.
oh my God. And he says, and I'm going to start making you some money. And he did. He put me, and he did. And he said, I'm going to start calling you Iron Mike from Cord now. So I got with Lou, and I was there about a year, but that was a tremendous education. Lou was a great plumber.
And then it got cold.
Exactly. Then I got a little sniffy.
So no, the weather got cold.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's ice. JBL, see, he's brutal. You know, he's brutal. Yeah, it got
He's
cold.
from Oklahoma. You got to expect it.
It's all good. Hey, I've been through the snake pit and the plane crash. What's you know? Come on, I'm all right. You know? There's shark propellant on me.
Yeah.
So,
You got to add something to that. You were in a snake pit, a plane crash, and you lived with the Briscoes. Those were three things that most people don't survive.
Exactly. So, you know, cat's supposed to have 9 lives. I'll probably have more than 9. You know, but anyway, yeah. I woke up one morning. I was living in Connecticut, and ice all over the place. I mean, I made the town wherever, and I said, you know what, Florida. I'm going back to Florida. So you're like an idiot. I don't know. Hindsight's always 20/20.
And then this was before you heard the story about Jack when Jack quit up there, right?
No.
We landed in Newark. There was a blizzard going on. Don Morocco was picking us up. Don parked his old car out in the parking lot there. Came in the airport. Back in those days, you come in the airport and go to the gate, pick you up. You know, so Don come to the gate. We were walking out, and there was, you know, of course, a bar there. Hey, let's have a couple of Bloody Marys before we go down. So we had a few Bloody Marys. We were feeling right, so we walked out in the parking lot. And there was a blizzard, and John, I don't know where my car is. And Jack's looking around. Jack said, Gerald, he said, see that plane going south? I said, yes. He said, I'm going to be on the very next one. He turned around, went back in the airport, got on an airplane, and he was home in Florida.
Yeah, home. So, okay, so I wasn't the only one.
No, you weren't the only one.
Okay, that's funny. That's funny, yeah.
Did any of the boys suspect at that time that Vince Jr. was going to take over the company?
No, they didn't. But you know, it was. I mean, they had it so together. I mean, they really did. And I remember one day Lou Albano came up to me and he said, "Mike, I got a hot tip for you." I said, "Hot tip?" He said, "What is it?" He said, "The old man told me about it." I said, "What is it?" He said, "If you had any kind of money at all, just whatever, invest it in teleprompter." I said, "What's teleprompter?" He said, "Well, it's going to be pay TV." Now, this is 1973. Pay TV. I said, "Look, ain't nobody going to pay for TV. You got CBS, ABC, NBC. Who's going to pay for TV?" I'm just telling you what the old man told me. That was 1973. Pay TV. Well, I mean, you can't make that up. Did I? Of course not. Can't spell it. How are you going to invest in it?
Yeah. Brilliant man. Vince Senior was a brilliant man. Good man. So you left there, and then is that when your trips to Memphis kind of started, and so no, you got a long history before that, huh?
Do your homework, will you, JBL? He didn't do any homework. He never did any in school. You know, why is he going to do it now?
Never.
Not going to do any homework. No, I went home with no job, no nothing, to Tampa, but I'd been to New York, and I made a little money. I had a little money saved, so I went to the office one day, really just.
Well, I know you never paid any rent, so I know you had some money in your pocket.
Objection. Once again, Mr. Briscoe, one more outburst like you, we're going to have you approach the bench and possibly throw your ass out of this courtroom and disbar you.
All right, so you had all your money saved up from not paying rent. You're down in Florida.
Right.
Did you never pay any rent to the Briscoes?
Never.
Objection.
And no finder's fee either. I mean, holy shit.
He never charged me. Did you? Did you ever charge me?
I
know,
never.
oh, what do you want? Stop complaining. All the money you have. Anyway, I go to Tampa. I'm just no job, take some time off. And I go into the office one day, just to let the boys, let the office see that, hey, local boy who got murdered for a year, he's turned out okay. And he didn't have any help from here, really. I go upstairs. I was going to say hello to Eddie and Lou. Well, Eddie wasn't there, but Louis was there. So I said, hey, Louis, how you doing? He says, good. He says, well, how you doing? So I'm great. Just come back from New York and just taking a little time off. And Louis says, you want to work? I said, gosh, I don't know, Louis. I'm really going to take a little time off. He said, I got an idea. It's that fast. I got an idea. He says, we got a guy here, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty's he's hot. He's a bad guy. And we got another guy here that they're kind of getting together, Joe LeDuc. He said, what about you wrestling under a mask as Dusty's partner? Dusty's on top. He said, we'll make you the Super Texan. And you're going to make some money. You will make money. He says, I'm ready to go, Louis. I became Dusty's partner. Yeah. I mean, that's a break. You're going on vacation. Now I'm Dusty Rhodes' partner.
Yeah.
I got a mask on. Super Texan. I think I had just a T on or whatever. Dusty did all the talking. He discovered me out in Uvalde, Texas, pulling a plow. Yeah. He said, that's the guy. Bring me in. Yeah. And off and running. Another break. I started to roll. I'm rolling now.
So how long did you stay on vacation? You didn't stay long, huh?
Well, no, I stayed there. That would have been, I think we just turned in, that would have been 70. Yeah, it had to be 74. Early 74.
Yeah.
No, I stayed there, did the thing with Dusty, and then they finally put me with LeDuc, and it was mask versus beard or something. I can't, mask versus Loser Leave Town, I think it was. That's what it was. And so he unmasked me. Right. So now I gotta go. I have nowhere to go. Still don't have, now back in the unemployment deal. But somehow or another, from back in Mid-Atlantic, I'd hit it off pretty good with Ole. Ole found out about it, says, hey, it worked down there. Let's bring him up here. We'll make him Super A. Right. Super Anderson. And they're on top.
Right.
Bang them into Atlanta on top again. Under mask Super A. Yeah. Luck. Right place, right time. Yeah.
Timing. And then so Ole, you had a hell of a run there. You with Tommy, you was with Flair, you was with every top guy in the territory there. And that's a great territory too. You're home every night. You're making pretty good money at that time, and so what happened there?
Well, first of all, the thing with the Andersons, that initial thing, that was great. And then it ended, and I went back to Tampa. I can't remember why it ended. No.
Well, that probably you cashed a check from Fred Ward.
Well, that's later on down the road. And that's
Okay.
We don't have any proof of that, and that's objection once more. We have no hard evidence, Mr. Brisco. You're a hostile witness, Mr. Brisco. You're very hostile.
Oh, wait a minute! I was a stockholder, so literally a third of that check belonged to me. So you'll have a bill collector here shortly after this show.
JB, I'll take care of him.
I can't take him anywhere. He's mad. He's from Oklahoma.
You
see, Austin, Trump was right about the wall. He's wrong about the location. We need a wall between Texas and Oklahoma to keep the Briscoes out is what we need.
I love it.
Because they're hostile. The Briscoes are all hostile. They're mad about everything.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You should see how many texts I get during the Texas OU game, and he hates OU as bad as I do.
Oh man, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. But anyway, I mean, I did the Atlanta thing, but see, I was Iron Mike then. Yeah, I ended back up in Tampa and then went through that plane crash deal before I ever went back.
Yeah, Mike, do you mind talking about the plane crash? A lot of people really want to hear about it. I mean, I'm from here, and I wasn't here then. I was back up in Carolina, and so, but tell me what you can on the details of what happened.
Yeah. So we had some pretty lengthy trips in Florida, pretty
Right.
lengthy trips. So it was a Wednesday, and we're going to Miami, and I decided, I decided,
And that's after a TV day morning too, right?
I'll be up for TV morning. Yeah, exactly. So I said, I'm going to just go fly Delta. I won't make any money, probably lose some money, but fly Delta, spend the night, and fly back the next day. So I'm laying out by the pool, catching some rays, and Gary Hart walked by, and we were living in the same complex. He said, "How are you going to Miami?" I said, "I'm flying Delta." He said, "Why don't you come with me?" And I'm riding with Buddy Colt, who's a pilot, and Bobby Shane. We had an open seat. I said, "No, Gary, I'm just going to stay the course." He said, "Well, if you go with us, you come back that night. You don't pay the hotel. It'll be a lot less money. You'll be back early." I said, "No, I think I'll just stay where I am." So he asked me twice. And then the third time, I don't know, a couple hours later, he asked me again. And my inner voice was saying, "Don't do it," but I disobeyed it. But I learned a lot from that, about disobeying your inner voice. Usually it's going to bite you. Typically it would bit me. So I said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it." And I knew nothing about how many hours somebody should be instrument rated or VFR. I didn't know anything like that. So I was pretty stupid about that. But there was really no reason for me to be, up to snuff on that stuff. But Gary assured me that he was a really good pilot, former Marine, yada. We fly to Miami, the weather's perfect, it's beautiful, boom, wrestling matches are over. Back to the airport, stopped at Wolfie's, get some sandwiches, and going back to Tampa, we got around, everything was beautiful Florida night, February. Around Sarasota, it's still nice and clear and starry. And Buddy's talking to the flight controller at Tampa International, and the flight controller says, "Tampa is socked in with weather, but you can land at Peter Knight Airport." Now I'm from Tampa, I know what Peter Knight is. It's an island. There's water all around. It's a friggin' island. But it's open. You can land at Peter Knight. So there's a decision to be made. And Buddy says, "What do you guys want to do?" And I said, "I'm all for going back to Sarasota. We'll rent a car and drive to Tampa." I didn't want to take a chance.
And was fuel an issue also that night, Mike?
No. Oh, no. Fuel was no issue. No, fuel was fine. So, but everybody else was gung ho. So, let's just go there. Oh, God. So, as we're heading towards Tampa, the weather is slowly, getting worse, worse, and worse. Now it's too late. You can't. And then I find out, well, Buddy's not instrument rated. Then I found that out. So now the flight controller is trying to bring Buddy in on instrument rated vectors, I guess, vector. I'm trying to bring him in. And this is like super scary. And the anxiety in that plane was crazy. So it's foggy. It's foggy and it's raining. And everybody's looking for the runway lights. And by the time Buddy, and we're over the water. I mean, I know that much is we're over the water. None of it's good. By the time he's on approach, final approach, by the time he tries to land on the runway, he's still too high. So he has to pull up and bank, and he banks over the residential area. That's a very affluent neighborhood.
Right.
He banks over there. And he's banking, and now he's banking. Well, everybody's looking for the runway lights. Nobody's saying anything, just dead silence. Everybody's looking for those runway lights. I mean, that's going to be that's where we win. And next thing I know, it happened this fast. I saw white caps, just like that. looking for the runway lights. Next thing I know, I see the Whitecaps in Tampa Bay. And when I saw the Whitecaps, I mean, you had very little time to think. My only thought was, you're dead. You're dead. Bang! And then everything went into slow motion like a dream. You know, sometimes you dream in slow motion. And I'm tumbling.
Where are you sitting? Where are you sitting, Mike?
Huh?
Where's your seat?
Shotgun. Right next to Buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right next to Buddy. Tumbling in slow motion, water gushing everywhere. And then everything comes to a standstill. So everything comes to a standstill. You know, I mean, if I'd have been knocked out, I'd been dead. You know, but I wasn't knocked out. Everything comes to a standstill. And I'm thinking, before the shock sets in, maybe, oh my God, we've crashed. But you're still alive. Got to get out. Got to get. I was still strapped in. I was still strapped in. But you got to get out. I'm going down with the plane. These other guys, except for Bobby in the back, he was strapped in and he went down with the plane. Buddy and Gary, they got thrown out quite a distance away too. I mean, they were thrown out, ejected. And I'm going down with the plane and I'm thinking, you got to get out. I can't get my seatbelt off. I had cowboy boots on, and you know the rudders on the passenger side, the plane rudders. My feet, with my boots on, are stuck. The rudders mashed down on my boots. And I'm trying to try to pull my feet out of my boots because I know if you don't get out of it, you're going to drown. You're going to die right here. And somehow or another, it just happened. You know, the belt came off. My feet came out of the shoes. I got out. I had jeans on. I don't know how I did it. I got my jeans off. Somehow I did it. Maybe I got my jeans off after after I came to the surface. I don't really recall that, but I got my jeans off. And I'm floating in the water, dead. The only thing I could hear was the Whitecaps. It's cold water too. It's February. And plus, back then, Tampa Bay was famous for sharks because Tampa used to dump a lot of the trash and garbage in there. So sharks, and I know I'm bleeding somewhere. I've got to be bleeding. I have to be bleeding. And I can't hear anything but Whitecaps crashing. And thinking, oh my God, you're the only survivor. Everybody's dead. And then I yelled out, is everybody okay? Nothing. Is everybody okay? And then I heard Buddy's voice from, shoot, I don't know, 30 yards, 40 yards away, quite a distance. And then I heard Gary's voice, the opposite direction. And then, Bobby, are you okay? Now I know that where I was sitting, Bobby was behind me. So Bobby was either going to be in the seat like I was, or maybe he's not out. I don't know. But Bobby, you okay? Nothing. Bobby, you okay? Nothing. So I said, well, he's down below the water. You have to make a quick decision to try to do something, see if you can save him. I'm in shock now. But anyway, I do some little goofy shallow dive, I guess it was, just trying to feel for an arm or a leg or something, nothing. Tried it again, nothing. I said, you got to save yourself. And that's when we swam to shore, which was a pretty good distance away.
Wow.
Pretty good distance away. We got lucky. We got to the shoreline. We got picked up by it. And
were there people on the shore waiting for you? Did you have to go in the houses, or what? What was the story?
No, we got up. There was a dock, and fortunately, it was low tide. Good thing it was low tide. Good thing it really was low tide. So when we got to where we could stand up, I tried to stand up and forget about it. I mean, my feet just, it was like a knife in my feet.
Your feet are all ate up from the coral and the shells on the boat, right?
No, it was from the impact of the crash.
Impact from the crash, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. So anyway, and Buddy couldn't stand up, you know that story, trouble. But Gary could stand up. So we got to the dock, and then there was a lot of coral on that, but we're hugging that thing. Gary stands up on our shoulders and pulls himself up onto the dock, and he's all, he's screwed up, broken back, blood all over the place. I don't even sure if Gary had any clothes on. And he goes up and knocks on the door. A doctor lived there. And I think it was about a month or 6 weeks prior to the crash, there'd been a murder on the island. So it was paranoia all over the place. And here's this guy bleeding, pounding, pounding. And then the doctor sees what's going on. They call Tampa General, which is right there. And they had to fish us out of the water. They had to fish us out. Wow. It's a tough lesson, but if your inner voice is talking to you, pay attention to it.
Wow. What a night. Wow.
Oh, yeah. But hey, I made it.
How long was your recovery from that, Mike? And did you have doubt that you were going to recover? Because Buddy, never was able to get in the ring. Gary was with a limp the rest of his life.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever wrestle again. That's for sure. And I'll tell you the truth, Gary, I didn't want to. I mean, that was enough for me. I said, you know what? I'll find something else to do. I don't want to wrestle again.
Well, was the airplane obviously your fear too?
A fear?
Well, yeah, your fear. Did you have
no? I never had. No, that's just a rumor. They scared me. No, I was never had. No, never did. I really didn't. But after it took me a while. I don't know, maybe 6 months finally to recover, or so. And that's when Gary got the book in Georgia. He got the book in Georgia.
Right.
He said, "Hey, come with me." Right. And I did. I followed him up there, and I had a nice little run there because the plane crash. I couldn't wear wrestling boots. I really couldn't. So I had to tape my legs, tape my feet, and everything. But I got over in a big way because they legitimately felt very sorry for me. They did. So I got over it, and I was doing great, and I was about 275, maybe 300 pounds, probably 300 pounds, and then I got a blood clot in my leg. Phlebitis. I mean, bad. That was really bad, and it scared me half to death. And the doctor, they put me on anticoagulants, and they said, lay in bed. Hopefully, these anticoagulants will work. He said, do not get out of this bed, because if you do that, blood clot could dislodge, go to your brain, your heart, your lungs, whatever, stroke, death, whatever. Just when your fever goes down, that'll be an indicator. So, and I had the belt. I was the Georgia champion, Georgia heavyweight champion. And it was a Monday night. I called Gerald. He was the book. I said, I can't go to Augusta. I got phlebitis. I can't get out of bed. You have to go. I said, I can't go. Well, you have to go. You're the champion. I said, I'm not going. Furthermore, come pick up the belt. I quit. Then I knew I was done with wrestling. Plane crash, phlebitis. Went home, got back to Tampa. No job, had a little money saved, no job, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna lose some weight. It may take me a year to lose 100 pounds, but I'm gonna go from 300 to 200. And I got down to about 220, and then I said, one here, new name, couple catchphrases. This guy can make some money. Austin Idol is hatched.
Was that when you first got into the really good shape? Before the plane crash, were you you were a power lifter? Were you like also a bodybuilder type? Was it after the plane crash that you got into good shape?
Yeah, it was after the phlebitis, JBL. After the phlebitis, it scared me. I mean, I thought, it was like it could have been a near-death thing. It could have been death, and it scared me. I said, well, you know what? You knew you were going to lose weight anyway, so now you're being forced to do it. So just go back to Tampa. You got a little money saved. You're probably going to be all gone, but you're going to lose 100 pounds. So I figured 2 pounds a week. I can do that. I didn't think it was 100. It's too big a number. But 2 pounds a week, 52 weeks, 100 pounds. So I did. And really, I got down to about 220. And that's when I said, you know what? You don't have a job. You don't have a career. But that guy there might be able to make a little money because you have some experience, obviously, in the business. You've learned from a lot of good people. Do your hair. Give yourself a name. Austin Idol. Universal Heart Plan. Get some mannerisms on. Women's Pet, Men's Regret. 1 season in Rome, 1 season in wrestling. On and on and on and on and on. And I've developed this guy. And it turned out okay.
You know, that plane crash, the people in there all had this association with Jerry Lawler. You end up working tons of main event matches with Lawler, and Bobby Shane was the one that had given him his crown before he went to Australia and then passed away in the plane crash, and Lawler was going to return it, but it didn't happen. So that's how Jerry became the king.
Yeah, and go figure, right? I mean, and I had a 10-year run with Lawler, off and on, but 10 years is 10 years. That's a long time.
Is that one of the most amazing runs you saw, a Lawler in Memphis? I mean, for him to be able to sell out that Mid-South Coliseum night after night, week after week, was that one of the best runs you saw of anybody in the territory?
But I would say more than likely, but JBL, you got to remember, there was a lot of nights he didn't sell out because it takes two to tango.
Sure it does.
It takes two to tango. Because if you don't have a formidable opponent, if it's not, the chemistry's not there, the business is not going to be there. And I promise you, I saw a lot of people go through there that made big money elsewhere. They couldn't draw any money in Memphis. It was very difficult area to draw money. Very difficult. I mean, extremely difficult. It really was. But I was fortunate enough that I had a lot of input with Lawler, a lot of input, and he was always open-minded, and I was always thinking a month, 6 weeks in advance, because he had a gig. He was part owner. I didn't have a gig, but I wanted to protect my gig, so I was always in thinking mode. So, yeah, because of that relationship.
Well, you kind of hit it with the best of two worlds too, because during your off time when you would leave Jerry, you'd go down for Fuller and work down in that great territory in Pensacola and all that area.
Perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I loved Pensacola, and Ron was easy. Same thing with Ron, great guy. And Ron he was always receptive to me with ideas.
Ron is a brilliant guy. We've had him on. He's such a brilliant guy. Were you down there? Were you aware that what was a Plan B or any of that stuff that was going on with Roop and Orton and Garvin and Malenko and Ron Wright?
You talking about up in Knoxville?
Yeah, no, they were in Knoxville. It was Ron's territory there. They were cut the tape to expose the business.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know that story very well. Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any rumors of that happening at that time, or did it just come out of the blue?
I think I think it came out of the blue, if I'm not mistaken. Ron had bought the territory down there from whoever Field or whoever. So
it's one of the most amazing things I think in history of business, how that tape could be cut 30 or 40 years ago and never brought to light, and then all of a sudden it's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange to say the least. Yeah. I had a great deal there. I had Memphis here, I had Ron here, and so I was very happy. And I wasn't burning out. I wasn't burning out. Just flying everywhere here, and with Ron, short trips from home, we got to the beach. I had it made. I had it made.
Yeah, it's all in the beholder, man. And a guy, I mean, you didn't sacrifice anything. You were making the money, and the luxury that you had. You were home every damn night, so the money was good, and you were home. The conditions were great. Plus, it's a paradise to live down there in North Florida.
Yeah, and back then, things have changed, with the New York thing and all that. And I knew those guys up there were making some very, very good money, but I never really cared about it because I figured, they are, but they're paying the price. They're paying the price for that money. And my way of thinking was, I just want to stay healthy, be as happy as I can be, and not be stressed out physically or mentally. And that turned out to be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you look fantastic now. Now we can find you on NWA. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with our Mike McCord, the Austin Idol.
Austin Idol. Mania sport.
Hey man, I've known when you were pooping your pants, so don't get on me too bad.
Well, that's the second or third time pooping in my pants. Yeah, that's the only thing.
I meant to tell you that when you were rooming with me. There's these things called bathrooms that we have nowadays.
But I've been through the snake pit. Snakes don't poop in a bathroom.
Yeah. So don't tell me. Well, I didn't rent that part of the condo out either.
No, but it's funny how things evolve and come sometimes full circle because, I've ended up. I'm sure next month will be I started 5 years ago with Billy Corgan, who's a phenomenal guy. I mean, just a great guy. 5 years ago, I got a call out of nowhere to go to New Jersey, yeah, to manage someone. So anyway, and then so I worked with them just a little bit, and then that kind of ended. And then it's been, I don't even know, it's 3 or 4 years. It's been a while, maybe 3 years. I really don't know that I'm back with the NWA, and I really love it for a lot of reasons. Their locker room is so unbelievable. I mean, they have the best locker room. I mean, there's no drama. It's a big team, and some great personalities and some tremendous talent. Tremendous talent. Billy is easily a down-to-earth guy, big global rock star, smashing pumpkins. Very, very smart. I don't know how he handles all that, but it's above my pay grade. But he's a very intelligent guy. But he's so down to earth too. I mean, he's just the easiest guy to do business with. I never, all the years I was in the business, Jerry, I swear to you, this is the truth. I always never felt like I was working for anybody. I always felt like I was working with them, with them. I always that was my mindset. I'm not working for you, I'm working with you until something happens. But with Billy Corgan is totally with him, and he's got a lot of vision for this company, and I see some big things happening with it. I really do see some big things happening with it. He's patient. He's a patient guy.
How do you enjoy now being a manager?
Oh, I'm having a blast, JBL. I mean, look at the guys I got now. I mean, just off this last Hard Times 3, did y'all see that? I got all the gold. I got all the gold. So treat me with a little respect, Brisco.
Well, we've had Billy Corgan on here, and he was awesome, and we've had Tyrus on here, and who was awesome as well. So yeah, we follow NWA very closely.
Yeah, so I managed Tyrus. I managed Scion, the Masked Scion, and he's so athletic. And then a new kid that I love, this kid, Jordan Clearwater. Now he's got the national television title, the one that Tyrus had. So I've got these 3 champions, and they're all under my umbrella, Idlemania Sports Management. So in order to have all that stuff, somebody really has to trust you, has to be tremendous trust there. So William Patrick Corgan and I have a good relationship, yeah.
Hey, is managing not the best though? I just started managing Baron Corbin, and it's so great because you do all the backstage stuff, then you go out there and you don't have to take bumps.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Talk.
That's right.
Talk. Be a rap master and have some fun, So it's a great gig. And we don't work that often. I mean, we just did New Orleans, just got back from New Orleans, and then December. I know for me, December 6th and 7th, yeah, will be Nashville. And then January 31st, it's Knoxville. And then February, it's 3 days somewhere, maybe Tampa, maybe Dallas, I don't know, but it's not like it's a crazy work schedule, but when you are there, you're putting in a lot of hours. I mean, you're putting in 14-hour days. That's great. It's great. It's nice when you're doing something you really enjoy and you're around the right people. It makes it easy.
And it's nice also if you're like me, it's when you're out of the business for a little while, then they ask you to come back and do something with one of the young guys. It's really enjoyable because it's like a gift. It's a bonus.
Yeah, because you get to help people too, right, JBL? You get to help people.
Absolutely.
And tell them you give them your knowledge. Some of them will understand it and get it. Other ones say, what does he know? Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And what could he possibly know? What has he ever done? Right.
So, speaking of sharing your knowledge, you also, I don't know if you still have it, but you have a wrestling institute there in South Carolina where you help train guys for not only the business but for life around the business too.
Yeah, I do. I still have it, Jerry. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I do. It's a Universal Wrestling College. It's got a website. I don't know why you guys don't have it up there. That's okay.
We will. I mean, you're speaking of two old wrestlers. Come on.
too old. I don't see any age on either one of them.
Yeah. And so we'll get it up there somehow. We do know somebody that can put that up
Yeah,
there.
we're not good at we can't do it, but we'll get it up there.
He loses our show somewhere in the cloud up there. So
Yeah, I lost one of our shows. We had like a 2-hour show. It was excellent, and I lost it.
No, you didn't, JBL. You were hacked.
That's exactly that's what it was.
You didn't lose anything. You were hacked.
I love how these wrestlers and celebrities, they come up, they put all this stuff on their Twitter after a night out drinking, and then they say, I was hacked. I was just hacked.
Oh man, that's social, man. That's I don't get into all that stuff. I do business only. But yeah, so Universal Wrestling College. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. I've got some good guys. It's a great institution. It's 12,000 square feet. So it's a big building. I've got my room here. And then one of the guys, maybe you've seen him on NWA, Priest of Punishment. He's a big guy, weird, freaky looking guy, tremendous athlete. Over on this side, he has, as in the number 4 Balance Fitness, Mike Cole is his name. So he runs all that over there. My ring is over here. And it's just a great facility. It's great. I mean, and plus, these guys know, and it's true, that if you come here and you develop and you just stay the course, you stick with it. You can't quit in life. We all got a lot of quitters, but you can't quit. You're going to get a trial with the NWA. Not a problem, but you got to develop your skills. I mean, all it takes is an email. Hey, this guy's ready for a trial. They're going to get it. I've got 3 guys that are going up. Matter of fact, they're going to Nashville, early December dates. They're going up there just to really kind of hang out because they're not ready yet. So they get to sit in the studio, watch production, get in the locker room, get to mingle with the talent. So they're way pumped up. Yeah, they're way pumped up.
Well, Austin, I know you're short on time, and we could talk to you for a long time because I'm a big fan of what all you did. It's funny how I really like the heels that can talk. It's something that I find very interesting. So, but thank you so much for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it, taking all the time that you've taken and sharing almost some stories about living with the Briscoes.
Yeah, I've got some that we better not talk about them, But I'll What, Jerry?
My wife. I met my wife across the street from that apartment that you moved into with me. So she was living across the street from me at that time. So we didn't do anything really too bad. Or
no, we didn't at all. No, honestly we didn't. We were pretty darn good. Yeah, I'd say we were a stand-up.
Thank you, Mike.
I don't believe it.
Well, I brought you good luck.
You did, man. Yeah, you did. Always have, man. It's always been good. Always been good to be your friend. I've always been proud of you, and you'll always be one of those guys that I can look at. I've met him a long time. I knew him when. So
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, same here. So anyway, love you, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Same here, bro.